Good morning, happy Friday. This is Moth News. We're starting today with the latest developments from the inquest into the death of 14-year-old Noah Donohoe, including evidence this week around missed CCTV, lost footage, and questions about how the investigation was carried out. We'll also be looking at a new report on children being drawn into crime in deprived areas. So how early they're going to prison and basically how quickly they return to prison and what happens after prison. And later, a significant development in France where prosecutors have searched the offices of Edmond de Rothschild bank as part of an investigation linked to the Epstein files. And what that tells us about how global networks operate. We will be joined later by Al, and Oscar is with me now. Oscar, how are you? How do we find you today?
I'm all good, thank you, Keith. How are you today?
Good. How's life for a young whippersnapper of a journalist out there in the big bad world?
Currently very cold, kind of waiting for summer, and then we're going to go and enjoy that. But other than that, all good.
Waiting for summer. Are all young journalists just sitting around houses waiting for summer? Is that the vibe?
People that I know work from home still, so yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to have a brat summer?
No. What's a brat summer?
Don't know. I heard someone saying it recently. Young person.
Nah, I'm obviously younger than me. I'm getting onto the older form of young people now, personally.
You're still young to me. You're still young to me, Oscar. Hold on to it. If anybody knows what a brat summer is, please could you inform us? You can message us there wherever you're watching, and we will see your messages. And that counts for anything we're talking about. Oscar will be looking for people to contribute to something he's going to be looking at later, which is to do with penal reform and what happens when you go to prison. Basically, you end up going back again. Now, big news from last week. We were talking about the Gerry Adams trial in London, Oscar, you'll remember. And as soon as we stopped talking about it, we're saying, this is ridiculous. What's going on here? There's something weird about this whole trial thing. Oh, there's Al. We were saying there's something weird about this whole Gerry Adams trial thing. And hey, Al, how's it going? You're on screen. You're live. Just to give you the heads up. Thanks for joining us. We were just talking about the Gerry Adams trial, Al. We talked about it last week. We were saying something about this. It stinks a little bit. And as soon as we hung up our headphones and turned the mics off, this happened. I'm not saying that we were responsible for it, but I'm trying to take the credit for it. So as soon as we did our bit, obviously Mary Lou was listening, watching us. She's a big fan. Hi, Mary Lou. This civil action claiming Gerry Adams behind the IRA bombings in England during the Troubles was withdrawn almost immediately. Al, what do you make of that?
I think it's our quickest exclusive result thus far. We broke it and it was resolved within minutes.
I mean, this is the power of Moth News now.
We can get anybody acquitted from trial.
we can just get trials stopped, and it can be London Crown prosecutions. It can be
remorse of conscience. We bring the conscience. Should we start saying that? The Moth News, the conscience.
Bringing the conscience to the
like Yoda.
Bringing the conscience. Oh, I like it.
There is no try.
It looks like Yoda's at a festival from the reflection in his glasses.
That's a hint of my new career. I'm learning to be a DJ.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good man.
I'm training with no other than Carl Cox and Pete Thong at the minute. Pete Thong.
Are you? Couple of legends, the 90s legends.
Yeah, I'm doing their DJ course. It's going really well.
Can you ask Carl Cox about his remixing of the Stone Roses album? He did some tracks from the Stone Roses album, remixed them. Yeah, did a very good job as well. Tell him I said hello. He did a very good job. Okay, so Gerry Adams trial stopped. Maybe it was because of us. We're going to take.
What's the name of the album? Carl Roses or Cox Stone?
Well, be careful with that one. I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Not very popular.
I tell you what, that Carl Cox guy, I like. He like the fact that he's still going because he knew how to enjoy himself back in the day.
Well, I don't know if you saw that stat. So it's like, is it the top 7, maybe 8 DJs are all like 57, 63, 55, because No offense, Oscar, but the new
We had-
kids, the new kids on the block. Don't.
We had some really good DJs. Unfortunately, they just ended up dying.
There are some good DJs out there, Al, but we're just not in. We're not aware of them. We're not hearing them. Do you know what I mean? Like my daughter listens to a DJ called Peggy Goo. Have you ever heard of her?
Marshmallows.
Very sticky subject. Charlotte DeWitt is pretty cool.
Yeah. And Al, what's your DJ name going to be, Al?
The Mad Scientist.
Was there a mad scientist?
I have my first gig teed up already, and I haven't even started yet.
Can we do your first gig live on Moth News? Can we broadcast it?
Yes.
We'll see. We'll find out. Okay, right. On to more serious matters.
Come on, let's do it, man. Yeah, the world. Like, we might as well just laugh because, like, what the fuck is going on, man, in the world? What the fuck? Seriously.
I'll tell you what. We should actually give a little update into before we get into, because we've got the Noah Donohoe stuff just for anybody tuning in for that coming now. But Al, you gave us an update on basically what some people are calling World War III, but now the people are being advised not to travel to Turkey, Al.
Yeah, so I sent John the travel updates, and look, I mean, we belabor this point, but it's so pathetic. I mean, the sole reason that I knew is because we were due to head there on a family vacation, and I just mentioned it in passing with somebody in the company, and they said, "Hey, you might be under pressure to go there because of key man stuff or whatever." But it was kind of like, what? It was kind of just then it was shared with me. And then I checked it. It was like, wow, why isn't anybody like fucking talking about this? It's like literally they're updating their travel guidelines and suggestions and advice to people, and nobody's reporting on it, And it's kind of, and I think the disconcerting point here is that we have so little independent media coverage of anything that literally the world could be fucking imploding around us and we wouldn't even know. This is the fucking worrying thing, right?
Are we better off not knowing, Al?
I'm the wrong guy to ask that, man. I'm the guy.
I want to ask that question.
Fuck's sake, Keith. We run a show about the truth. Come on, man. Are you really asking that question here? I'd like to think we're all curious fuckers, right?
Oh, I feel like I know too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, would I be better off just not knowing?
Are you that dude in the Matrix that wants to go back and just taste the steak? What was his name? Do you remember? He was like, he sat down with Smitty. Do you remember that? And he was like, just send me back in. The guy that sold them all out.
Oh, I'm not a Matrix guy.
Oh, okay. Have you seen the Matrix, Oscar?
I have, but I cannot remember.
Right, guys. So your medicine for today is you must.
There's like 4 of them, isn't there?
You must. I will ignore the 4th one.
Just the
You
original.
must do a marathon sprint of at least the first 2.
Okay, I actually will. I've been looking for something to watch. So there you go. So travel ban. Just be careful if you're going to Turkey now.
Sorry, just I know. Yeah, as you said, look, we'll move on quickly. Sorry, didn't mean to be so dismissive, but it's kind of one of these situations. What the fuck can you do? Like, there's nothing. Like, I guess, look, for listeners and people, the message is loud and clear, right? I think the macro part of this is watching how people are slowly taking sides and gravitating towards, which is what we've covered here in detail. So the biggest travesty here is there's no in the middle anymore. You're either that or you're that. And that's it. It's not like somebody took a view of this to say, from Turkey, I'm not going to put my tourism industry under pressure coming into the peak season. I'm not going to put my citizens at risk. I'm going to mind my own fucking business and protect my country. But passively say, hey guys, can we get into peace discussions? The guy came out. I can find the statement. Paraphrasing. It's not verbatim, right? He came out, literally said, if you do this, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Like it's not as if this has just been a random escalation. The main dude in Turkey came out and said, if you continue doing this, I'm going to hit I'm going to take over part of the Baltics, which is a threat to, as you know, Greece, right? And then Greece falls in under. So are we already in the situation of allies versus whatever?
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose it depends on who's hitting your economy and who's the biggest threat, and you're gonna you're gonna side with also who you think is gonna win, and I mean, I'm mostly worried about the fact that I've also booked a holiday in Greece, so please, Turkey, stand down. Or none of us will be going on holidays.
I'm there for Metallica as well, so we can jam.
Oh wow, brilliant! You can DJ watching Metallica. I'll just be on the beach. So
I'm playing with them.
Okay.
I don't have his name. I'm trying to pronounce the dude's name. It's like it's a Turkish name, so I didn't want to mess it up. So it's like T or something. Right? Yeah. And basically, what he said is, if this escalates, he's going to start attacking the surrounding countries.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be he could be hoping that quietens things down. Do you know what I mean? So we'll watch that one with interest. Just do check the travel bans before you travel. I think that's a fair enough message. We want to move on to an interesting week with the Noah Donohoe trial, inquest. Sorry, I cannot call it a trial, and I should not call it a trial, and it's not a trial; it's an inquest, and I need to be very careful about that as well. So yeah, just to remind viewers that this is, as I said, it's not a criminal trial. It's an inquest about establishing the facts, how someone died, Noah, a young boy, and the circumstances around his death. But what we're seeing week by week in this case is the detailed scrutiny of the investigation itself, and it's not looking good. Oscar, could you just take us through some of the maybe 5 key takeaways from the inquest this week?
Of course. So the first one is police have missed key CCTV evidence. An officer has admitted he failed to identify Noah on footage showing him cycling toward the area where he disappeared. The second issue, also relating to CCTV footage. Footage was fast-forwarded. CCTV searches were not always carefully reviewed. Some footage was fast-forwarded, which could have led to missed sightings of Noah. And the third issue, again, CCTV. So there was CCTV missing from a funeral home. So footage from funeral directors near the tour route, near the route that Noah took, is now unavailable, despite it being identified as potentially important. Now, the fourth issue is going to be questions over evidence handling. Items linked to Noah were recovered, but concerns remain about how thoroughly scenes were documented and recorded. The final issue that we're looking at this week is inconsistent police reports. Officers have repeatedly said that they can't recall key details, including what they were told to look for and at what time it was reported.
Thanks very much. A lot to go through there. I want to focus on 2 things. So one of these points, the first one is, I think you guys will find this interesting. So the CCTV from the funeral home. The inquest heard that plainclothes officers, attended the premises and removed footage, potentially the recording device itself. This footage was not retained and has never been seen again. Okay, so this is footage. There's the Grove Leisure Centre. We've mentioned this before, right? If you remember the CCTV footage issue from outside the Grove Leisure Centre, guys, you remember I was talking about the timing issue where they checked the wrong bit because they said the timing of the CCTV camera. So they were looking at the time on that was out, because obviously, you know, when the electricity goes and then comes back, sometimes the clock can reset itself. The time was wrong on the CCTV footage, according to officers. So outside the Grove Leisure Centre, they missed the bit and the time where Oscar cycled past. Okay, that was wrong, or they missed it altogether, right? Across the road, there's a funeral directors with a camera pointed in the same direction, a different angle of where Oscar would have cycled past when this gap occurred, you know?
Sorry, Keith, just to, it's Noah, not Oscar's cycling past.
Oh, no, I'm so bad. I'm so old. 2 plainclothes policemen entered the premises of this funeral directors, removed footage, possibly the device itself, and it's never been seen again. Now,
can I interject that, Keith? I don't know if you obviously
yeah,
I'm saying this now in terms of information. It's absolutely zero impact or on me, right? We had quite a bit of blowback on social media from a few people during last week's show and episode, right? And they were like, who are these mugs? You know, when we said, when the data, you know, how can people come to the same conclusion? It was like, oh yeah, because they looked at the evidence, you mugs, right? This is some of the attacks we had. And like, I didn't bother in engaging because, you know, sometimes, you know, but not sometimes, always. My rule of thumb is I don't want to argue with stupid people. I just don't bother engaging with. But it's extraordinary to see that people are walking around fucking zombied to blatant. This is blatant at this stage. It's not even like hypothetical. It's like evidence has not been corroborated, has not been gathered. It's missing. Like, this is like a fucking scene out of In the Name of the Father, where the guy walks in. Do you remember she walks in? Who's the actor again? Remind me.
Daniel Day?
Then no, the lady. She's doing an awesome job. She's Nanny McPhee also.
Yeah, Emma
Thompson, is it?
Yeah.
And she went in and she had a terrible cold and was pissing rain. She went in, the guy mixed up the file, do not show to the defense, you know, and that opened up the whole case, you know. So I think this, if you look at the behavior, it really does point again back to the point of there's no accountability, right?
I mean, I'm not saying this is relevant in this case, but if people are going to say, here, look at the evidence, here, pay attention to the inquest. Yes, we are. We are, and we're looking at the evidence. But sorry, Oscar, just a second. That we mentioned a case 2 weeks ago of a young girl who went missing, was last seen with a guy, right? This guy turned out to be her murderer, but they didn't actually convict him until like 20 years later, when they actually went back and did an inquest and all this kind of stuff. The reason I'm not saying this has anything to do with this case, but the reason they didn't go after him is because he was protected. Now, we have to understand, Oscar, you might not understand, but in the north of Ireland, some people are protected for reasons. I mean, why was that man protected? Some people are protected because they might give information to the PSNI, and they have to be protected because they'll be ostracized or killed or whatever by their own community. So you can look at the evidence. You can look at, like, the north of Ireland is not straightforward. So we have to look into this, and we have to look at when there's CCTV footage, when the PSNI say we couldn't get that footage because the timing was wrong and we missed it. We looked at the wrong bit. We looked at like 12 hours in advance or behind or whatever it was. And then where they could have gotten that footage on another camera, 2 plainclothes officers walked into that premises and removed the footage, possibly the actual device itself, and it's never been seen again. Odd. I mean, we're not talking about an inability to do the job here. We're talking about obstruction.
And on top of that, if you're asking us to look at the evidence, we can't and make your own conclusions. The evidence has clearly been removed. Like, so
but also you can't. How come are we supposed to just take the PSNI's word for it? There's an inquest for a reason. The inquest is into how this whole thing was handled. But lots of in like weird things are popping up because of the inquest. Now there will be no trial, like nobody's going to be imprisoned off the back of the inquest, but it might trigger something else. It might make it impossible for the powers that be in the north or in the UK or wherever, whoever's in charge of that bit of land at the moment, it might make it impossible for them to not go back in and have another trial.
Yeah, Keith, just without exposing any nuances in conversations that you may be having, confidential or otherwise, right? But how is that normally treated when we look at the facts leading up to this, right? Which is there's, like, if I was to look at this kind of objectively and say, I'm coming into this as a cold case, as Oscar spoke to, and you mentioned some cases take a long time to resolve or investigate, right? And you came into this, you kind of said, okay, what are the contradicting points that would lead someone to believe that something is out of whack here, or everything isn't as it seems? So a fundamental part of of this conversation would be the gaps in time, right? What happened between this time of day and that time of day, where Noah ended up in a different jurisdiction, and was injured fatally, right? So it is a fundamental part of the process. Like, what happened between this point? Who saw him? Who didn't see him? Do you know what I mean? Like, corroborating that, because, like, if you even think back to, like, do you remember that Garda Patrol thing years ago when we were growing up? It was like, have you seen this tractor? And then it's a last sighted here, last spotted. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, for a bit of machinery in the 80s, they were fucking good at fucking. Like, this is just pathetic, Like, honestly, it's like, when you just look at the massive amount of fucking data. Like, if I was to get up now off my chair and walk out the door, I can nearly guarantee that I will find at least 5 smart devices, doorbells, Ring, CCTV, fucking phones, storefronts that have, like, ATMs that have, like, Jesus Christ, like, this is just pathetic. Like, they really think that they're going to get away with this. But was that part brought up in the inquest, Keith? Is that what you're saying? Was that part of it? Was that evidenced?
This was in the inquest, yeah. Like, anything I talk about was in the inquest. I mean, I might point out,
and are these two people in question? Has it been identified that they are directly involved as investigators in this
two plainclothes officers,
tragedy?
Yeah, they went. Well, they were involved. They were from the PSNI. They were plainclothes officers. They went into the premises and they removed the footage. Hang on, I'm not finished yet, and we only have an hour, so I'm going to crack on. So also from this, just from yesterday, actually, I was kind of up late last night and up early this morning, just sort of trying to understand this and trying to figure out what exactly this meant, because this is all new to me. I'm not an investigative journalist. I mean, we've got Oscar here to keep us straight, but, like, I've gotten more and more interested in what's going on, and I've gotten more and more interest in what things mean and reading between the lines. So this is just something that came out yesterday, and I think we really, 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 really need to pay close attention to what happened here. So Constable William Worry gave evidence yesterday, and he talked about, I've got this written down here. So he talked about entering a flat. Do you remember the name Daryl Paul? We mentioned it before. I mentioned it last week. Daryl Paul was the guy who ended up with Noah's,
with the gear, with the laptop, right?
Yeah. So this guy gave evidence. He was the one that went in to search a flat, Daryl Paul's flat. Daryl Paul wasn't in. They kicked the door in. And what they found was his school bag, school materials, and clothing. There was, I have this written down here. I really just need to get this right. I'm sorry. There was questions about this green coat, okay? So he was asked when he was given his evidence, were you told to look for the green coat? He said either yes or he couldn't remember. He had two answers, basically. When they searched the flat, he gave a statement, right? So when you search the flat, you come out, you give your statement, you record a statement, and that is on file, right? He gave a statement as if he had turned on his body camera, his worn camera, and he gave a statement of what happened, right? Didn't mention this green coat. In 2022, they've discovered that he hadn't recorded any footage on his body worn camera. So they brought him back in. He gave another statement, never mentioned this green coat, right? Said, oh, I must have forgotten to turn on my camera. Sometimes happens. The thing was, your man, Darrell Paul, wasn't there. So he said, well, the guy wasn't there, so maybe I just didn't bother turning on my camera because he wasn't there, whatever. But never mentioned the green coat. Yesterday in evidence, he also never mentioned the green coat in his notebook. So never even wrote it down. Yesterday in evidence, three times he mentioned a green coat, that they went in looking for a green coat, recovered a green. Three times he mentioned this green coat. And Brenda Campbell, who cross-examined, said, you mentioned the coat three times at the inquest, but you have never, ever mentioned a green coat before. And then he mentioned, so she asked him the question, when were you told to look for the green coat? When were you told that this was something you needed to find? And he couldn't remember. He didn't know. He couldn't. He said he misunderstood the question. He answered it incorrectly. But then he mentioned this briefing. So before he appeared in the inquest yesterday, there was a briefing. Now, he said this briefing was about, oh, what will happen, what time you need to be there at, blah, blah, blah. So the people in the briefing were one guy who's a lead investigator into the case. When Brenda Campbell asked who was at the briefing, he started to talk, and the judge said, hang on a second now, I'm going to have to stop you here. Because he talked about this thing called Rule 9. It is the right not to answer a question if you think that answering the question could be used in evidence against you at a later date. So that was how worried the judge was about this constable incriminating himself with what he was about to say. The constable said, no, I'm fine. I don't mind answering the question. And he said, oh no, the briefing was just about timings, what to say. Well, I'll be asked about it. The worry is that it wasn't a briefing. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to read between the lines. I think the worry is that it wasn't a briefing, it was a coaching. So this constable had been at a briefing just before yesterday, before he turned up at the inquest. He'd never mentioned a green coat before. And suddenly he turns up at this inquest after this briefing. Draw your own conclusion. And he mentions this green coat. And the green coat is very important. It's something that's come up before. It's something like the whereabouts of it, who was in possession of it. It's a very important piece of evidence. And the whole thing hangs around the searching of this guy's apartment, Darrell Paul, the fact that he had Noah's stuff, the whereabouts of the green coat is very important in this, and that this will all come out in the wash, and you can look into that if you want, do your own investigating. And the fact that the body cam wasn't switched on to record, the searching of that premises, and then I don't know if he let slip. Or if I don't know, but then he mentions this briefing that happened. And then you're going, so suddenly, the questions then arise, like, are you being told what to say? Is this, what's happening here, you know? Because if the judge or the coroner in this case, like, interrupts and goes, sorry, do you know about Rule 9? Why was he saying that? He said, Rule 9, if you know, you don't have to answer a question if you think it will incriminate you. He felt like he had to say that. He answered the question, and then they shut the inquest down. They kicked all the journalists out, they kicked all the public out, and they had their own private chat, everybody, the lawyers, about what had just happened. So it's just, I mean, for me, I don't know. I feel like, and like, I just want to mention, like, this is a young boy who died. There's a mother whose son has died. There's, you know, there's an auntie, there's family, there's cousins. This, like, I don't want to make light of this. I want to keep reminding people that a young man has lost his life. But I'm watching this develop, like I'm watching like a Netflix documentary where they've carefully placed these little hooks to keep, like, because you're going, what? Like, if there, it's almost like the inquest and the PSNI's involvement in the inquest. It's almost like they're slowly revealing the truth but you've got to be really, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like surprise after surprise. And this is not about incompetence. This is about obstruction, I would say, at this stage, because there are people change. Like, if you don't mention a thing, right? Let's forget that it's a green coat. Let's call it a plastic M&M, anything. But if you don't mention that the 3 times you gave statements, and then suddenly, so 2020, you never mentioned. 2022, never mentioned. In your notebook, never mentioned. Suddenly, you get into, you're up in the inquest, and you mention it 3 times, and then you can't recall when you were asked about the green coat, to look for the green coat. Was that what you were going into the house to look for? Blah 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 blah. I don't know. Blah blah blah. Well, in the briefing, oh, hang on, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that. So here we are.
It just does not make any sense. Why were you turning off your body cam as well?
Well, I mean,
right. Police officers are meant to have body cams so you can trust them, because the problem with police is as soon as you put somebody in power who's meant to, like, protect everybody else and protect and serve, or, like, watching people, who's watching them? That's the whole point of body cams, so we can trust police. If you're not using your body cam, how can we trust you?
Yeah, I mean, when you're asked to appear at an inquest and you're unable to explain evidence that you searched for a coat, it does make you think, like, well, when did you remember this? So, I mean, that's where we're at. The inquest, they return Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's no inquest Thursday, Friday. I think they got the next week off because obviously schools are off, and that's normally when they take a break. They took a break during the last midterm break as well. Al, do you want anything you want to mention before we move on? Because we got it.
I'm absolutely fucking taken aback, to be honest. Like, I'd have to incubate that before I say something like really damaging to us. I don't know, man. There's not even words for that, man. That is just fucking appalling. Like, I'm seldom speechless, but that's just.
Yeah, I mean, like, it took, like, I had to go through this and listen to it, and then look at the head and go, this is okay. What does this mean? Because I'm looking at it going, okay, I know.
I'm genuinely taken aback. Like, I mean, we didn't do, like, I've been traveling, so it's been a bit hectic. So this is my first time hearing that down those. I just, fuck it, I have to think of it now, man. That is just fucking.
But
It's
I think
probably one of the worst examples of like just complete and utter like incompetence. Like, is that even the word to use? You know,
I don't think we're looking. I mean, we started off, if you remember, Alan, we started saying at the very least this has been done. This has been really badly handled. And like, are the PSNI that bad? Are they so incompetent? But we can't even use the word incompetence anymore.
If it is incompetence, it's weaponized incompetence. Like,
I mean, the great thing is you're dealing with humans. So when you get a constable up, like this guy is just he's a cop on the beat, and then he's been asked to give, like, this is high profile stuff, and he's been asked to take the stand and remember what happened, and then not, and and learn the script if there was a script or whatever. And if he's being coached, get it right. And if you don't get it right, this is the beauty of the inquest, I suppose, because this is a big moment. Like when he's took this, that shut down the inquest for a little while. The judge had to stop him and say, listen here, boy, remember, you don't have to answer a question if you think it will incriminate. Like, the weight of that alone, this is a moment, and we will get back to it. We got a few messages here. The police had so many opportunities to get to Noah's last place seen hours before they finally did. This is not just unfortunate. It's one police officer said, but it's a horrific tragedy. Yeah. We got somebody, I won't mention their name, saying the PSNI want people to think it's incompetence. And then they said, important and valid points being addressed. Thank you for questioning this for Fiona and Noah. No problem at all. And then somebody says, this is other people's opinions. This is not our opinions. Perverting the course of justice. And another message. Thank you. Unbelievable. Look, it's just, and I think all we've ever done here was talk about. Thank you very much.
What is the recourse, Keith? I mean, like, if let's just say now, this inquest has obviously thrown up, like, this is pretty, like, compelling in terms of, as you said, we were, benign, it's incompetence, sinister, they're fucking around, right? And stuff intentionally going missing, body cams being turned off, like every protocol has been breached. They've put what is that? PII on it, right? But like, what power does the inquest, like, if we took it out of sight, let's just say this is so obvious, as we're starting to unfold. Is there some solution here or remedy where the inquest can say, hey, our findings here this is absolutely appalling. There's, a mass. There's a massive void in evidence being gathered, protocol has been breached, the process is clearly not being followed through. It's, if you did like a weighted exercise, right? Went, okay, data missing of footage, bang, critical, 5 being the worst, right? Somebody making a decision, no foul play, bang, you know what I mean? If you weighted it into, like, here's 10, here's the 3 points. I've listened to Nia many times, who's got a legal mind. Just said, if generally lawyers would gravitate to 3 compelling points. So if we were to break it down into 3 points that are coming from the inquest, and maybe we can speak to Noah's familyness, and that's the 3 points that you take somewhere. But there has to be something. Like, 6 years in itself is a failure. But, like, they've created fucking shows with James Nesbitt about cold case, right? Where guys go back revisiting cases, open them up again. And, like, as far as I'm concerned, there's no fucking statute of limitation to wrongdoing, right? It's like, this is a life has been lost. We're unearthing sinister agendas here, right? It's not like, I accidentally fucking dropped the tape down the fucking manhole as I collected it, or I put it in my boot of my car and I forgot about it.
No,
this is like, Bang. 1 point. Major breach. Second point, major fucking breach. Third point, major breach, right?
Yeah. Like, there should be a thing, like if there's an inquest and there's like 3 main points that should immediately go to a retrial, or they should reopen the investigation. The problem is, the big problem here is, Al and Oscar, is that if the PSNI are perverting the course of justice in some way, they don't want, I'm not saying they are, but if that's the reason, there's things going on like witnesses being coached, any of that stuff, if any of that it, like, you're talking about an organization who are trying to tell the people that they're policing that they're independent, that they've moved on from, a period of, from the Troubles, that this is different times now, we're accepting people from both communities, we operate differently, blah blah blah. And then this shows that they're still, that it's not incompetence. They will pervert the course of justice to protect themselves, protect their sources, protect informants, and that, and we've seen that happen in the past. I'm not saying that's what's happening here. I'm just saying that these are the things they're frightened of. And the important thing is people like us are talking about it. People on social media are talking about it. So what I think the inquest should do is push whoever it is, the Crown prosecution, whoever the organization is, the British Crown prosecution, whatever, into looking at this again and opening up the whole thing, and doing it properly this time. Do you know what I mean? And then, like, prosecuting people who failed this young boy by not doing their jobs properly. And then you look at, like, in some cases, if we talked about a case before where a young girl was killed, and the man was protected. This guy was protected because he was an informer so his life and his protection turned out to be more important than the death of this young girl. And that's a decision then that seems to be a decision that's being made, and that does not sit well with me. Legal implications of coaching witnesses has serious. We're not saying the witnesses were coached, but we're saying, if that happened, serious implications on an inquest process, breaches so much legislation, including Article 2. So how can an inquest process be independent or effective if it turns out that is happening?
If you're spoon feeding your officers what to say so they don't incriminate themselves, and then they incriminate themselves anyway.
What could be sparked from this, though? I mean, look, as you said, we need to probably revisit this, but how can we be more helpful, right?
I mean, I think we can talk about this off air, but, like, I think what we're doing is helpful, but then how can we do more, and if you're just watching this and you don't, and you're wondering, there's bits missing, you're not fully au fait with what we've been talking about with the whole case, if you go to our YouTube channel, there's a little 10-minute explainer in there that I recorded last week that should take you through what we know so far. And also BBC, I think it's BBC Northern Ireland, have a podcast where they go to the inquest daily, and then they record everything that happened in the inquest. And we're not one for shouting out mainstream media, but it's quite good. And Belfast Telegraph as well are quite good on it. I'll just give this guy a shout out if you're interested, because the more we can get this out there. Liam Tunney is a reporter with the Belfast Telegraph, and he's very good on this as well. So there's
we have some other guy reached out to as well, Keith. So we might follow up with him again as well. He's really pissed off about it. He's been very helpful. Just he kind of started the journey, right?
John,
John, okay.
So that's that. We'll leave that for now, because Oscar's going to tell us a little bit about what's happening in the Republic. What do you got for us, Oscar?
So before we get into this properly, I want to say that if you're watching this and you're from either of the areas that I'm going to mention, so which is Dublin's North Inner City, Ballium, Darndale, parts of Limerick, and areas.
Okay, I'm gonna just because you're not from the area, I'm gonna correct you. Ballymun,
Ballymon,
Ballier, yeah.
Okay, where those places. If you're
Ballymun, Darndale, where else?
and Limerick and Cork, and some areas of Cork. So these are areas which, according to this study, are saying that poverty is on the rise and that like most households are suffering from deprivation. If you're from these areas, please reach out to us and talk to us about what you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis, because what this report is suggesting is that children as young as 6 years old in these areas are being groomed into criminality. So Keith and I'll just starting off with you. If you're seeing that you're going to enter criminality at 6 years old, what do you think somebody's life is going to end up looking like?
Guys, you're really pushing me fucking today with this stuff. Like, fucking hell. This is not live, is it?
Stay centered. Stay centered. Stay with us.
Yeah, I'll keep on track. Yeah, I have to hold myself in this. So I've done a lot of research in this, Oscar, previously. So we were creating... Actually, separately, we do fund through our own family office a program that we help families and stuff get access to opportunities that don't have other means, right?
Normally, yeah.
We're getting into too much. Maybe we'll do a segment on it someday. We do it kind of steadily, right? And independently, we've helped quite a few people along the way, you know. I created a document on this, Oscar, that I'll share with you, which was a white paper on. The problem that we have is the organizations that are funded to assist with this process would be considered kind of NGOs or whatever, right? Or not-for-profits, but they're not-for-profits that are funded. They're dependent on government funding to be not-for-profits and to be functional.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, when they're creating reports, the report has to go through the government office or the department that's funding them for approval first. I sat in a room with the DOJ when we were addressing a problem with Tesla and other organizations. I can't name them. They're based in inner city. Sorry, Keith, you're not Dublin either. It's incorrect to say inner city, is it?
You can say
inner city. It is inner city, north city, Dublin. Yeah, and Dublin, north city, right? And I met with them, and I walked into the room. We were helping at the time. We had an ESG program. I hate that name because it was just used incorrectly. It's a horrible word at the moment, right? But we had a program set up where we were trying to help. We'd create a technology for anti-human trafficking, child trafficking. Went to meet this organization, walked in. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying what I encountered. And it was literally volunteers from the area of mothers, grandmothers, aunties, sisters, right? In a room together, collectively trying to come up with a solution to solve this, right? And they were literally telling me that the probability of somebody in that area ending up in either the sex industry, drug industry, in prison, dead or addicted was higher than the normal percentage of people getting to college, third level education in the fucking country. So the higher probability, not only of getting to college in that area of the entire country, so the percentage was higher that you would end up in criminality or being trafficked in those areas. And these are statistics that they were aware of, and absolutely nothing was being done about it.
So, I mean, Oscar, my guess would be if you're looking at being drawn into criminality at that age, it's the revolving prison door system for you. Criminality back to prison, criminality back to prison, criminality.
Well, not only that, Keith, they then become the offenders also. Do you get me? Because
Yeah,
That's
100%.
yeah.
Like it's a fucking waterfall, right?
I'm just going to speak a little bit about how the study was actually done. So the study was created using interviews and focus groups with people who've been through the system, and its input from frontline professionals in housing, addiction, and support services, and also an analysis of the national prison and deprivation data. So to create this report, you've had lived experience and structural evidence. And the core idea of you guys have just kind of mentioned already is that what you're continuously seeing is people are growing up in these poorer areas, meaning they don't have the best start in life. They turn to crime, and unfortunately, they just go into the justice system, get out of the justice system, and go into the justice system again. I just want to speak a little bit about some quotes that people have had from the study, and then get your guys' reaction. So the first one is, going in and out of prison did nothing. It only housed me, and it threw me back out with the same rehabilitation, with the same issues. So that's not rehabilitation, that's containment. Keith, if nothing is changing here, what is prison actually doing, and what do you think should change about it?
Well, I mean, I personally, I don't agree. I think, Al alluded to it. I think the funding that goes to lower socioeconomic areas, it's just badly spent, badly used. There's too many, CEOs of NGOs. There's too many, people on a payroll. There's not enough money. There's not enough support. For me, I'm just the type of person I am. Other people have their opinion. I don't think prison works. And I don't think prison, the way it is, how it is, I think, time after time again, we've seen reports like this. You go in, you just meet people who want to keep you you don't get, it's not, very few people go in and hit the books and come out with a degree and change do you know what I mean? I'd love to see a system where people can go, there is another way. But it just doesn't seem to be something that we're able to get our heads around, showing people another way, another life that isn't. And I don't blame people for getting into criminality, because criminality, I know you're going to talk about it, but they look at people who have things. They're growing up, they've no hope, they don't have money, they don't have food, they can't go to the shops, they can't get stuff. Somebody turns around and goes, if you sell drugs, or if you do this, you'll have money and you can go and have stuff. How do we show these people there is another way?
I'm not sure, but Al, you're pretty well traveled. Have you ever experienced a justice system, or heard of one that you've seen actually work when it comes to prison reform?
Can I give you a slightly different stat, just and dovetail into that, which is, you start with that headline, prisons are full, blah, 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 rehabilitation. If we were in a situation where it's kind of like we continually do something that's not working. It's at what point to say, this ain't fucking working, guys, right?
Definition of stupidity, yeah.
So I just give you, we're working on this agentic journalist, right? Forensic stuff. So I put in quickly in the stats. I found my report. I wanted to update it. So right now we've almost 6,000 children in care. And this is described by the Ombudsman Office as among the most vulnerable groups of children in Ireland. Children protection referrals have doubled from 56,000 in 2015 to 106,000 last year. And TUSLA remains chronically underfunded, right? They then put it into a wonderful Irish Times, Ian Curran and co, fucking useless journalists, right? Oh, this is seen as a pathway into crime. Fucking no fucking shit, Sherlock, right? But what are you guys doing about it? Nothing, right? The majority of persons in custody in Ireland is 67.7% are early school leavers, 93.6% of women, and 76.4% of men were unemployed upon committal. 78% of young adults reoffended within 3 years. And basically what they called it was the broken pipeline.
Yep.
These guys should be fucking flogged, publicly flogged for their idiocy, right?
They definitely should be. Allegedly, they should be. And that's, again, what you're kind of seeing.
It's not allegedly. I believe it to be fucking true. I'm not defaming anybody. They're fucking useless.
And yeah, you're right. There is a kind of a broken pipeline. Again, a quote from the report says, "They dropped me out like a bag of rubbish. No support, no help, just you're gone." I remember we're already dealing with people who have housing instability. So that often means for them, if they're leaving prison, they're entering hostels, temporary accommodation, and no stable base. And they also probably have no job as well, and not a lot of prospects being an ex-con. So they're then saying, if you went to a hostel to try and survive, it's game over again, because the likelihood of you reoffending, as you've just said out, is like, what, 73% within 3 years? Like, the system just does not work. And if we're trying again.
But Oscar, that's based on dirty data again, right? Because remember now, the guys that are reporting this are fucking useless. So you'd be guaranteed, like, those figures are stark. They're probably 3 times that, because they're not gathering the data from all of the other, the information isn't being corroborated. These organizations, they're not speaking to the people that don't even get into the system, right? Okay. They're on the, these early intervention schemes, or they're pushed into some kind of foster care, or they're pushed in, they're off the network, right? Okay. Or they leave the country and they end up going somewhere else, right? And behaviors repeated elsewhere, right? I think it's that's a really fucking sore point, man. I mean, I think it's really, that point around, if you look at Noah, if you look at what we're discussing here, what is the definition of a society, right? And democracy, it's how they treat their most vulnerable, and like, we are fucking failing miserably on the island, right? Anyway. Keith, a quick dovetail there for you. I don't know. Look, I know I'm going off topic, but I think it's too like,
Too good to miss.
it's too good to miss for you, because maybe we can cover next week. So, breaking news: Bobby Healy Elkstone portfolio company just landed more cash, and who's straight out the gate with it? Charlie Taylor and the fucking Business Post, and then followed by the Irish Times. Yet again, another Elkstone portfolio company. Who's going to get screwed again? Irish taxpayers. Guaranteed, right? Okay. And just quickly on that, just a nice dovetail. I know we were going to talk about the pathetic coverage of, Alan Merriman being mentioned in the files, right? This is what our agent came up with, right? So why has the mainstream media not covered this global scandal about an Irish venture investor that has been mentioned in the files, right? This story is worth examining carefully, and you're right. The depth of coverage here has been uneven. Here's what the record shows, and shows honest analysis of the media silence. The date actually established in early February. Emails showed the Barrack directed Alan Merriman to liaise with Epstein's own lawyer. He was coordinated with deal documents for the Carbine report investment. Barrack's exact words were to Merriman were, later you both could talk to Darren, the layer of the JE, to coordinate everything. The ditch. The ditch reported that Youngman used the same vehicle, or BVI registered Montella International, to finance Dublin housing developments and invest in Irish tech companies, deepening the Ireland footprint. Elkstone's defence was essentially their involvement was limited to legal and administrative facilitation of clients' investment decisions, and the firm had no direct relationship with Epstein. Why has mainstream media largely and specifically just ignored all of these facts in relation to Alan Merriman? The Irish Times, RTE, Business Post, Independent, all have stayed quiet and have not published anything in relation to Alan Merriman from Elkstone's involvement with the Epstein files. It's pretty stark, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what I've done here, we have to look at this, and the question is, if you look at what's happening in France right now, and the private bank, the de Rothschild bank, being searched by the authorities. So we've mentioned countries already that are doing their investigation, that are looking into people. Ireland is not one of these countries, so the media aren't covering it. Our official Ireland isn't covering it, and then we're looking at France, where even the Rothschild is not safe from being investigated. And the thing about the Rothschild, the news that the de Rothschild bank was being searched because of links between the guy that worked for that bank and Jeffrey Epstein. So they want to see what the connection is. They want to get in there. They want to get into the files. They want to get into the computer systems. They want to know what they were up to and what they were into. We have to then look at our own connections with people mentioned in the Epstein files and how. So what we've got here, if you look at this, we've got Jeffrey Epstein at the top. Then we've got the likes of Peter Mandelson. We've got Nicole Junkerman. Then we've got other networks. So if we look at, say, for instance, you can talk about private banks or other people are on that level. And then you look at the deal we talked about. This is the Israeli deal, the Carbine deal, and other deals. And then we look at our own Alan Merriman, who, and we have to remind you that Elkstone have directly gotten taxpayers' money through Enterprise Ireland, and this money we question around how this money's been used and where it's going and all that kind of stuff. And we are trying to find out. And Oscar is using all his powers to try and get more information. We have gotten the information that they were given money by Enterprise Ireland. And Alan Merriman, then, who has publicly said that Nicole Junkerman is one of his clients, and he advises Nicole Junkerman and has advised Nicole Junkerman on things that she's done, investments in Ireland, investments in Dublin, in housing, in businesses, including Jobio, which we've talked about before. So we're talking about someone like Alan Merriman being the financial head of finance for the EBS. Head of finance for the EBS, just before, right? He's right in there. Jeffrey Epstein is talking to Peter Mandelson about buying the AIB after the crash. Alan Merriman.
Just by the way, just a quick interjection is Merriman and Elkstone did not follow in again into their baby Bobby Healy's drone company, right? So you know what's happening. Exit stage left again, right? Keith, I just sent you something on our chat. Just again, this is our agent in full swing, right? And guys, this is just like, I don't have to give it a disclaimer, but I'm just saying this is an agentic solution that's supposed to have, not supposed to be conscious, and is more conscious than most of the fucking idiots like Ian Curran and Charlie Taylor in mainstream media, right? Okay. And by the way, I'm calling out Ian Curran because he's the guy that I contacted who wrote very sinister articles about us that were not corroborated and not confirmed, and he stood over them. And when I asked him why is he writing that stuff, he said it's in the public interest, right? So the connection here is compelling, right? So I just put in very simple, is there any connection? The chain as it relates to Merriman coordinating a deal for Junkerman, who invested via Epstein Barrack's Carbine vehicle. Epstein simultaneously broken Rothschild banking relationships via the same Southern Trust entity. Junkerman networked to Andrea de Rothschild through Epstein. So Merriman sits at the Irish end of a network whose tentacles extend to the Rothschild group. Israeli intelligence linked tech, Barrack and Epstein Southern Trust, all operating in the same 2015 to 2016 window. This is second degree separation at its best, right? The reason this matters for journalism angle is the Rothschild's banking connection to Epstein, same corporate vehicle used for the Carbine deal, is documented, sourced, and public on record. That's a significant escalation from the one client, one deal framing by Elkstone.
I mean, like, why is nobody reporting on this?
We're taking turns on the speechlessness today, Keith. I think that's like, I mean, come on, it's fucking crazy. Like, it's so crazy that there isn't an editor or a journalist in the Irish mainstream media with a set of balls that can actually fucking report on this stuff and say, like, let's call this like corrupt individual out. Like every other country in the fucking world is at least, even if they knew what was going on and didn't do anything at the time, the fact that it's now out, they are doing something. At least they're trying to do something.
I just want to speak to a bit about like the French connection that we were looking at. So the French financial prosecutors have carried out searches at the Paris offices of a private bank of Edmond de Rothschild as a part of the investigation linked to the latest Epstein files disclosures. And this probe is focusing on Fabrice Aydin, a former French diplomat who later worked at the bank between 2014 and 2016. So kind of eerily similar position to Alan Merriman, where he's he's a former banker. And this guy is going to be suspected of passive corruption of a foreign public official and sharing confidential diplomatic material, including UN Security Council briefings with Jeffrey Epstein. These allegations are based on emails dated between 2010 and 2016, which appear in recent released US DOJ documents. Aydin denies any wrongdoing, and Edmond de Rothschild says he is fully cooperating with investigators and has launched its own internal inquiry. The development marks a significant shift in the Epstein story, moving beyond social and financial connections into the potential sharing of sensitive state-level information, and is one of the several internal investigations now emerging following the latest document releases. I think the key point here is, though, that you have France, who has a banker who's allegedly is being looked into for miscarriage of his actions and has potentially done some crimes, is actually investigating him. Whereas when we have a banker in Ireland who has potentially done some crimes with Epstein, we're kind of like, let's not say anything. Nothing's wrong here.
Is Alan Merriman being investigated? That's the question. Are Irish officials looking at his conduct? You're talking about a man who was the head of finance for the EBS, right, before the crash. Now, he appeared before the Oireachtas committee about the fact that he was still getting and giving himself bonuses, even though we were heading head first into the worst crash of, my lifetime, many people's lifetime. Post-crash, his organization, the EBS, before it became part of the AIB, his organization was responsible for evicting 5,000 families because they couldn't pay their bills. We bailed he fucked up. He did a fucking terrible job running an organization, giving out loans. I don't understand finance, but he was shit at his job. His organization were bad at what they were doing. They were partly responsible for a crash, which we bailed them out of with taxpayers' money. And he subsequently went on this rampage, throwing people out of their homes in Ireland, which resulted in families being broken up, which resulted in people dying by suicide. And now now we're not investigating him again. What does this man know?
But at least Charlie Taylor's got the time to write a journalism work of art to say Bobby Drone can't fail. He just can't fail.
He just can't fail.
Yeah. Well done, Charlie.
That nobody's looking into Merriman is allegedly he scratched the right back. So he scratched enough backs that nobody's going to look into him. Nobody's going to report on him.
I would not. I couldn't think of anything worse than that man.
We have a parental warning here. Do we start once? I think he's doing more than scratching backs, Oscar. Fucking back scratching doesn't get you that far, dude.
He's gone a bit lower than the back, and his tongue is involved.
You guys went there, not me.
I do not want to think of that man anywhere near my back. Thank you very much. But this is what we're dealing with. This is the truth of the matter, and Irish people need to know.
Keith, I met a guy, and Oscar, I met a guy. We were having a conversation. I won't name him, right? But we were kind of going through I guess I didn't go through 4 stages of fucking grief. I went through fucking 10. But no, I think you you're blessed to go through these challenges at times because you come outside a better man. I was like saying to Neve one day, I was like, fucking thank God it happened, because fucking hell, I wouldn't like to be in business with this fucking scumbag anyway. Imagine if we were still in business with this guy in Altada and he was on our board and this stuff came out. I'd probably end up in fucking jail myself for going after the guy, right? But I sat down and was like going through, the nuances of what happened, and I was like, how could people do this? How can they be this unethical? And he said, all these guys that you're dealing with, they would sell you out for a price of a new kitchen.
Probably less than.
He said that's like what you're dealing with here. Chipboard.
What are we talking about? MDF? $5,000?
Recycled. But if you put that in context, that's what so you're dealing with, like a really low intellective person, low moral, low ethics, they'll take a payout all fucking day long. And it's not, in people's minds, like, oh wow, these guys must be so powerful that they can pay all these people off. It's like, yeah, here's fucking $3,000, get yourself a new kitchen and fucking take these guys down, I'll buy another kitchen next year, It's just what you're dealing with. You're dealing with like really pathetic, low-lying people that do not give a shit about other people around them, do not give a shit about doing the right thing. And they will just crater and ruin lives for what's seen as a very insignificant sellout,
Yeah. And it all comes back to that idea of powerful people are not held to the same standards as everyone else. And also, Al, you're
they're not powerful. Let's we won't even give them that word.
Yeah. Horrible.
Immoral people, right?
But also, Al, you're putting we disagree on a lot of things, right? But I think we managed to talk about this is a good, I really like this platform because we get to get our opinion across. We don't really need to necessarily disagree with each other because it's just opinions. But
we talk about our feelings, Keith. We talk about our feelings.
Dude,
we co-create. We co-create, man.
That was a private conversation, and I've never cried for 3 hours before.
I gave you a virtual shoulder. Don't worry, man. I had your back.
You gave me a virtual hug, which was really nice. Such manly arms.
I don't give many out.
Okay, but we're trying to see what's going wrong with the country, and we're trying to make it better. But we're looking at people like that. We won't mention his name again. We're looking at people like him, like Merriman, and we're putting our way of thinking. We're like, how could you do that? Like, it's the same as people who are they're just built different. You can't understand why they would do what they're doing, how they would and also a lot of the times, we're giving this man a lot of credit. We don't know that he's not just a puppet carrying out the orders of somebody else.
That is a fair point as well.
Doesn't give any play past. We haven't mentioned our buddy Jeff Leo for a while, who's been ducking and fucking diving all over the place. He's been trying to. Yeah.
How much does Jeff Leo paid Alan Merriman to be such
a lot? Actually, we're working on it, and I'm not going to let open up the Pandora's box in this one, but we do have it from very good source that those guys are really collaborating and working together. So I'm working through the data, but there is some nonsense going on between those two dudes.
I'm somehow not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, the circle is almost complete, isn't it?
Same cabal all the time.
Oscar, do you want to give a shout out once more? You're looking for people who we talked about the prison service in Ireland, and we're looking for people from certain areas to come on and use this as their platform and tell their story. We're just looking for your experience of growing up in somewhere like Darndale or Ballymun, and if you want to come on and be anonymous, we can organize that. But yeah, sorry, Oscar.
And also Limerick and also Cork, and again, you can be anonymous. We can anonymize your voice, your face. We can also AI transcribe your voice afterwards, so we can conduct the interview, and then just we can even do it by email as well.
There's an article, yeah, no problem. Yeah,
just trying to get lived experience of a situation, and then see and get your experience out there, because something I want to try and get across is, in order to affect social change, What we need to do is get more people talking about it, get more people interested in it, and also try and share some solutions. And then hopefully we can put those across. Because what the report's done really well is it's highlighted the problem. The solutions are there, but it's easier to hear solutions from people involved in the problem rather than somebody sitting behind a desk.
So you can message us wherever you're watching this. You can just message us. If you're on X, you can just message us through X and we'll get it. It'll come here to our platform, or send us a DM on TikTok or wherever you're watching this. Thanks, Oscar. And yeah, we just want people on here to talk about their experience and get that across. And also like what you think would work.
We're getting a few. We are getting a few messages. I know you shared a few messages, so there's a few people.
Yeah, there's a good few messages coming in there. So thank you very much to people who have contributed, who joined the chat today, who watched. We're here. See y'all. Take care. Oscar, you can head off as well. Thanks for your work today. A good show. I need to lie down now.
That's hard going, man. I must say, yeah, yeah. Let's see how we can be fucking helpful with this, you know. Okay, guys, well done.
Hey guys, good luck.
Ta-ta.
Take it easy. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day. And also to you, the viewers, enjoy your. Let me try and get rid of this. How do I get rid of this? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. We will be back next Friday, and you can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us we're on all of the social medias. So go and find us, follow us, tell your friends about us. We'll keep trying to do the good work and expose what needs to be exposed. Just talk about facts. Just facts, dude. That's all. Take care. Have a good day.